if y'all don't mind telling me, have any of your grandmothers or grandparents in general ever been
kicked in the face?
assaulted? I was about to say, not necessarily kicked in the face, just attacked in any way.
No.
Man,
Well,
both
that's what I know of.
passed away in the past 3 years.
No. Not while they were elderly.
Huh? No, they were.
Not while not while they're doing,
Yeah, fortunately, my grandparents were never attacked, and they lived in Chinatown in New York City. So fortunately, they've never been hurt in their time living there.
Well, actually,
as far as I know.
Well, actually, my grandfather he was a lieutenant in the Vietnamese army, so I'm pretty sure he had been attacked before, and
I mean, while in their elderly state.
Oh, in their
in their elderly.
No, not in their elderly state. By the time they were elderly, we had them living good in my mom's house. My mom and brothers was taking care of them, making sure that they were rested, fed, everything, and comfortable.
Well, I mean, we should consider ourselves lucky because this Vietnamese grandmother, she's originally from South Vietnam and a survivor of the Vietnam War. Her name's Thinh Duan, and she lived as a single mother, raising her daughter alone after losing her husband to the war.
Damn, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and so on August 20th, somewhere between 9 and 9:30 p.m., she was home alone, and she encountered some aggressive banging at her door. Her dog started barking as a result of that, and so she thought her dog wanted to go outside. So she leashed him and opened the door. When she opened the door, there were 5 teenage boys who hurled eggs, rocks, and then basically calling her a bunch of, racial insults and then cursing at her.
Just a prank.
Oh my! What the fuck?
Prank. That's
yeah,
fun.
And then after that, the teens started egging her house, and one of them managed to chuck a rock at her face, and it bruised her eye, and it rendered her temporarily blind.
Damn.
Jesus.
And then apparently those teens returned 2 more times after that initial attack, like 2 days afterwards.
Did they report? Did they report it? Oh, the night.
So the people who are investigating this case, they're still looking for 4 individuals between ages 15 and 17.
Did they state what ethnicity these teens were?
I don't think so. Not according to the article.
Damn. Man,
This fucking podcast.
Well, all right. I need to tell y'all about this one dude named China Mac. If y'all don't know who China Mac is, he's this OG cat from New York. He's Chinese. He's been in and out of prison most of his life. He's an advocator now. One of the he was on No Chasing podcast, Timmy the Letter Ghetto's most recent podcast. One of the questions he asked was, all right, well I'm just sub it down. Out of the these neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, black communities, Hispanic communities, Asian communities. If somebody was to go attack a grandma in those communities, which community do you think they would most likely get away with it at?
White people?
No, out of Hispanic, even out of Hispanic, black, and Asian communities. Which do you think they would get away with it at?
I don't want to answer.
Shit, I'll answer it for you. If it was at a black community, those motherfuckers would be killed. If it was at a Hispanic community, those motherfuckers would be missing. If it was at an Asian community, it's most likely that they would get away with it because Asians, we're growing up, we were taught to turn the other cheek. Don't be loud. Don't cause attention. Be peaceful. And so they will most likely get away with it because you don't see Asian people gathering or rioting. You don't see that. Before we used to be peaceful, but now because of the shit that Trump said, there's been a lot of racism, a lot of xenophobia rising, and a lot of assault on Asians. I mean, I can't even count the number of reports of assaults on Asians on both hands in the past couple months. So basically, Asians needs to start gathering, becoming stronger, and fight back like the black community has been doing. You don't.
I mean, I agree with that. I agree with the sentiment. But where I'm from, the Asians out here, they blast off.
Yeah. I mean, same over here in H-Town. But as as an entirety, we have our small niche sub communities, subgroups of Asians who grew up in less fortunate situations, who have to stand up, who grew up in the hood and have to show that they're strong and that we can't show weakness. We gotta walk around and let our nuts hang. But the majority
go ahead.
But the majority of the Asian community, they don't, they're taught differently because they're more fortunate. They don't grow up in areas and communities where they need to show strength, where they need to prove themselves to survive. And now we're in the world is much darker now. The world is against us because supposedly the virus came from China. Supposedly the virus came from somebody who cooked the bat and ate it. And now...
Well, did you guys ever hear about the more logical and proven theory that it actually came from a laboratory?
Yeah,
I believe
which is still in Wuhan.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really help.
Yeah, it doesn't, but at least it kind of changes the bat narrative. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, but still, like now we live in a world where the Asian race is blamed for the whole pandemic. So we targets, we marks, and people need somebody to blame. So that's why, if you a bully, you're not gonna go bully a race or ethnicity that's been known to fight back. You go bully a race that that's been known to keep the peace, especially older generations of that race that can't fight back.
I find it hard to relate because I've always known Vietnamese and Asians I was scared of Asians. You know what I mean? I befriended a lot of my Vietnamese friends because they had my back in ways I couldn't have my own back with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my family, we're out here. We're about some shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? My brother, I hate to cut you off. My family's about that shit, and still, even with my family there, I will still look at Vietnamese they're not no one to fuck with. To this day, the Vietnamese they're more dangerous because a Vietnamese not gonna get pulled over. I'll tell you that much with a bunch of shit in the trunk because they'll get. I know Vietnamese that break the law daily, no repercussions, and I mean drugs, I mean gang violence, I mean murder, I mean heavy shit that they just get away with. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's I understand the sentiment of what you're trying to say, and I would also I'll put myself in the box of me living where I live in.
Yeah.
Because it's just different down here. But I never looked at Asians as weaker. Even watching movies as a kid, watching Bruce Lee and all this karate and I do Muay Thai to this day. Asians
Dude,
to me,
Tony Jaa is
Tony Jaa. But he's ain't nobody can fuck with that dude. And I don't care if you do Muay Thai boxing. I don't care if you have a Mac 10, bro. You don't want to fuck with that dude. And it's just I don't know. I can agree with your sentiment, and I would fight for that sentiment. But to me, Asians always gather, and they've always been a gangster. They've always been.
Yeah.
I would never touch an Asian person. Yeah, I'll tell you that.
And it could depend on region too, to be honest, because West Coast, the way West Coast Asians are culturally are going to be different than, for example, Northeast Coast. Because typically Northeast Coast Asians, they're typically first and second generation Americans, whereas in in California or basically all of the West Coast, Asians over there are typically more fifth, sixth, seventh generation, etc.
Yeah.
So
it's probably a difference in culture among those type of communities.
Yeah, and
perhaps.
they grew up in higher class areas. They went to better schools. They grew up in a higher economic community. So they're not immigrants that just came to America. They had to build up. Like personally, I moved over to America like back in '83. 2 families living in a 1-bedroom apartment. We had to build shit from the ground up. Like
You moved here. You moved to your first generation.
Yeah, first generation. I was born in Vietnam.
Oh wow,
man, your English is so good.
I think your English is shitty, to be honest. But I know you're. I didn't know you're first generation. I forget how old you are.
But shit.
I'm just fucking sure. I don't think that.
Like I said, we didn't go to the best school. I was bullied as a little kid because I had to wear some thick ass glasses, and then I was like, fuck it, I ain't taking this shit no more. Then I started getting into fights. Then my parents had to spend all their money putting us into some private schools. We just got into fights there too, because in private schools you were surrounded by all these other bad kids. So,
actually, Tree, I wanted to ask you. So, in the case of like, say, war refugees, like from that came from South Vietnam, like when the communists took over the country and all, when the refugees came over to the U.S., would you say that most of them ended up in poor neighborhoods, so therefore they ended up growing up in lower income communities?
Yeah, it's simple economics. Because if you're an immigrant, you come over here and you barely got a dime in your pocket. You can't live in in the suburbs.
Yeah, because that's how it was for like my mom's family, because they were in they grew up in Chinatown, New York City, basically, or well, my mom did, and well, I mean, I can't really say that they were really well off, but at the same time, they're also not like dirt poor.
But they had to they had to struggle. New York, yeah, like you said, New York is a lot tougher area than a lot of other places, and that toughness is actually part of that New York culture.
Yeah, 70s New York, I hear, was is so different than what it is now.
Oh, yeah, but like we actually living in a whole different world right now. From what I heard, Chinatown, New York, right now is not doing so good at all. That's why this one dude, China Mac, I'm talking about, he's doing rallies to raise money for Chinatown over in New York, because people are scared. Wow. People are scared to go to Chinatown because they believe, the virus came from China.
Yeah, just like how people are afraid to drink Corona because they might get Corona. Great logic, right?
Yeah, I've been all week, two bottles a night. I don't feel sick yet, but like you said, like in comparison to everybody else right now, to stop all these assaults on Asians, we need to start gathering and have our own Black Lives Matter. I don't want to say take away attention from the BLM. I support them to the fullest. I respect, I love the whole BLM movement. It's making a lot of changes. But to stop this, we need to walk around, let our nuts hang. We need to push back. We need to be more aggressive.
Or just be like me, stay strapped or get clapped.
And not just one. This isn't just a one person thing. This needs to be a community thing.
I feel like you guys are so communionized.
But we're
I feel
not.
Like there's so much strong. What state would you go to? You don't see a Chinatown. What state do you go to?
New Hampshire?
You don't see a
New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine.
Okay, but what state?
Rhode Island.
What state with a strong population of Asian people? If you mention those states, they're not a strong population of Asians. But the states where there are strong populations of Asians, there is community.
No.
And even in Vermont and all those places that you stayed, they may not have a Chinatown, but I bet you they all live in the same neighborhood.
No.
I bet you they're all eating with each other.
No.
I bet you
that's not true.
Well, you're not wrong to some degree.
No, but that's not true. Even though there is a community, a lot of these communities, a lot of people, a lot of them is based off of business. So there's competition. With competition comes feud. With feud comes war. So growing up, in my past experience, there was actually a lot of yellow on yellow crime. I'm coining that term.
I'm not laughing at you, but that was a funny statement. I respect what you just said. Yeah. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
There's a lot of yellow on yellow crime because because like as you know, in the Asian community, a lot of the Asian community are business owners, and each of them are fighting for their own and coming up as immigrants.
But that's the case in any other race.
Yeah, and it needs to. No, well, with BLM with the black community, they are right now. They are at their strongest. Right now, they are at their most united.
Most united, I could say.
You agree? Yeah,
but I could agree with. I would not agree that we're at our strongest either. I feel like I couldn't pinpoint you at where the strongest could be, but like I feel like now I'm comparing Black Lives Matter to your situation, which I did not want to do. I kind of got thrown into that, but it's two different situations, two different matters. Yeah. And from my experience, the Black community, the Asian community support each other.
Yes, so that is very true because when this actually kind of originates from the justice system too. Because let's say like when you go into prisons, when you go into jails, they actually split up the races, and because there's not that many Asians in jails and prison. When I actually went into prison, the COs actually told me like, "Damn, you must have did something real bad again in here because we don't see much of y'all around here." But they actually put the Asians in with the blacks and the Hispanics in with the whites to split it up. Because there's not enough of us to get our own pod, to get our own community. So it kind of originates from there because Asians and the Black community also kind of grew up out in the streets together. I
guess that's why I'm so combative with what you're saying, because like I'm always going to agree with the fact that Asians need to bond together. And like, even though they do bond together, what I don't see in the Asian community is a lot of like pride and put yourself out there and political action in a lot of like what Andrew Yang said.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, like if anyone's offended what I just said, because so many people were offended when Andrew Yang said that. Anyone's offended what I just said, I'm truly sorry. But like I am an ally to Asians. I grew up I speak Vietnamese. Like I knew Vietnamese before I knew Spanish. So it's like. So I relate to that culture a lot.
Like you're an honorary Asian.
A lot of people look at me that way, but I would never claim that because that's like a white person, like you're a group in the hood. You know how Dalton is. Damn,
bro, don't call me out.
Hey,
that was a joke.
Hey, then we claim you. You are allowed to say Duma whenever the fuck you want.
But it's so to me, like I've always within the Vietnamese community, like I'm from Atlanta, Florida. If you don't know, and if you know anything about Atlanta, Florida,
the country of Florida, guys,
the country of Florida. Florida is a crazy place, but it's a crazy place. What a lot of people forget to mention is that not many people from Florida are born and raised from Florida. People who are from Florida are from all over the country, and they get concentrated in this little space, and that's what's the crazy part about it. But with that diversity comes a lot of Asian communities, and especially Vietnamese, and especially Koreans, Chinese too, and I see a lot of Filipinos sometimes, and a lot of Laotians, but like Vietnamese. Chinese, it's a strong community in here, and they came from a country of poverty, or they came from a position in poverty in their country, and came to Florida for some reason, and because they came from poverty, they looked at the hood as a blessing. Places that I grew up in, they looked at it as a blessing. So they come in and the hood, and they not, I don't want to say profit, but they mix in with us. Like they understand the hustle. Like a dude from the hood who's selling pounds of cocaine, he's using his skills and combining that with his location. And Vietnamese and Asians are doing the same thing. They're being put in the same community, and they're carrying the same guns. They're selling the same drugs. They're as hard as anyone else. They develop a community stronger. I would say Vietnamese community is way stronger than a Black community. And I'll die on that hill because I've seen both.
Yeah, I'm gonna say on in the background, underground, we are strong because we don't want to put ourselves out there because on the block you do some shady shit and you don't want to bring attention to the block. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
So youngsters nowadays, they go around flashing cash, flashing money, flashing cars. People are gonna question, how are you getting all that money, cash, and cars? Asians, we don't,
We're going down. We're going down a different argument now. We're going down a different path now.
but I'm just saying, like, we're taught.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, we're taught to keep shit on the low. We're taught not to put ourselves out there. Have you ever seen an Asian person out on Jerry Springer or the talk show, those like talk shows? Because we're taught to keep shit in the family. We don't.
Yeah, you don't see that as much in the past, but nowadays we're more prevalence of Asian American celebrities. One of my favorites personally, Jimmy O Yang.
Jimmy O'Hang, Rich Brian. You got Joji. You got that one funny dude with the glasses. I don't know his name. It's fucking hilarious though.
Hey, my generation, we had Jackie Chan and Jet Li.
And
Let us know what you think about this article and our opinions in the comments. And for more daily viral news, hit that subscribe button and that bell to get notifications of when our next one comes on. This was TBG Spills the Tea coming at you daily with viral news. Catch us on the next one.